Okay, so the unit we have for today is the second unit in question, and we are looking at the unit business environment. We want to learn how to manage the business environment. And once we manage the business environment, that will be all for today. So let's just understand how to manage the business environment. So we will start by defining what a business is from the technical perspective, and then we'll have time to define what an environment is. After we have defined the environment, we'll look at the management of the environment itself, and to look at the importance of studying the environment in the business in which you operate. And finally, we will conclude on the synopsis of studying the business environment. Are you able to get the sound from here? And are you able to get me clearly before I can start presenting the business to you? No. All right, just feel free, please, to turn on your mic always and ask your questions if you want to ask your questions. Okay, you may be aware that in Zambia, where we live nowadays, when you ask people about the business, what comes quickly in their mind is the issue of the kiosk or the kantemba in local language, where you have people selling things in those kiosks, and they call themselves that they are doing business. That's on general perspective. But however, according to the business gurus, the business may be understood as an organized effort of enterprise to supply customers with the goods and the services for a profit. This is from the legendary perspective. So the business is the organized efforts of enterprise to supply the customers with the goods or services for a profit. The key thing is that we are supplying the goods or services for a profit. Now, so you can now see from your understanding that the individual in your neighborhood running the kiosk, the kantemba, might actually be in business, especially if in that kantemba, the person has got the organized effort of the enterprise, and they supply the goods and the services, and the main intention thereof is to maximize profit. So a business is there to maximize profit, to make the profit. So it's about those three key elements. Do we have the organized efforts in this enterprise? Are we supplying goods or services? And what is the intention behind the supply? Are we supplying so as to maximize profit? If we are supplying to maximize the profit, then we are in business and we are doing the business. So you can see that the whole purpose of going into business, it does go beyond profit maximization, okay? And some of the few areas why people or organization get into business will include the following. Number one, they enter or engage into business. They enter or engage into business so that they can supply the goods or services. They enter into business to create the job opportunities, to offer the better quality of life for people, others to contribute to the economic growth of the country. So these are some of the main reasons as to why people enter into business: to supply the goods and services, that is to be of service or to be useful to humanity, to create the jobs or the opportunities around, and offer the better quality of life and standard of living, then contribute to the economic growth of the country. These are the main reasons or purposes as to why people engage into business. Now, let's a little bit look at the nature of the business. If there is any single word that you can best describe today's business, is just a change, right? Modern business is actually dynamic. So you'll understand that business in its own perspective is never static. It keeps on changing time again and again. So, and you'll understand that the business is highly characterized in today's life. You find that in the modern life, businesses are usually characterized by diversification. So for that, or on that notice, we will start by looking at the 3 different types of diversifications that businesses engage themselves in. And number 1, we have what is known as concentric diversification. Actually, this one refers to the process of adding new but related products or services for the current market. You have the current market, so you are trying to add a new product or a new service to the already existing market. And usually this service or the product that you are adding is related to the one that you already have. For example, if someone is supplying sugar, let's say someone is supplying brown sugar, and then they decide to add white sugar as well. That is called the concentric diversification, because they're trying to add a new but related product or a service to the current market that is already existing. There is also what we call there is what we call horizontal diversification. Now, with horizontal diversification is the process of adding new and unrelated product or a service for present customers. All right. So when you're adding a new product and it is actually an unrelated product or a service for the present customer, for the existing market, that is called what? A horizontal diversification. You are adding a new product, and this product is not related to the already existing product. All right. For example, when you are running a kiosk, okay, you are selling sugar, then you decide to add the detergent, all right, the detergent paste in the shop. Once you add the detergent paste, you have diversified, but that kind of diversification is called horizontal diversification, because the product that you have added, it is not related to the already existing product. The third type of diversification is what we call conglomerate diversification. Okay, it refers to adding new and unrelated products or services. When you see that your Kantemba, neighbor goes into the new market after introducing a detergent paste into his shop, this is what we call a conglomerate diversification. Right? Well, you add a new and unrelated product or a service. But the key thing here is that the only difference between conglomerate diversification and the horizontal is that here we are adding the new and unrelated product to the new market, right? So the key thing here is that we are adding to the new market. But in the previous one, under horizontal, we are adding to the already existing market, okay? We are adding a new product. It is not related to the one that we are previously offering, and we are adding it to already existing market. That's the horizontal. But here, it's a new product. It's not related to the previous one, but again, we are adding it to the new market. That is called conglomerate diversification. Now, the main goals of the businesses could hinge around making profit, and usually this one is the main goal of the business enterprises. The other one could be growth. You could be there so that you just grow. Business should grow in all directions over a period of time, and the other is to have the bargaining power, right? We enter into business to gain power. So you see that the business houses have vast resources at its command, because now these resources will confer enormous economic and political power. When the business has got enough resources or have got more resources, then they can have a lot of power, right? We enter into business to employ, to satisfy the employees. So business, you are there so that the employees can be satisfied and they can develop your employees should be one of the objectives, and to offer the quality products, the quality services. Market leadership. All right, what about it? So for you to earn a niche for oneself in the market, innovation is actually one of the paramount thing that you have to look at, right? You have to be innovative for you to earn that market niche. Whereas a market niche is basically a small group of the market that you're going to target. Within the target market, there is a small fraction of the target market. That's what we call a market niche. Challenging, usually you find that businesses offer vast scope and possesses formidable challenges, a lot of challenges that are there. And the job creation is also another aspect that we have to look at. So you'll understand that it's through business strategies, the new ideas and innovations are given, all right? They actually give a shape and are convertible into useful products and services. Now, we have tried to define what a business is. We need to have time also to define what an environment is. I told you that the focus of the study is to manage the business environment. What's an environment? Right. So if you understand what a business is, it will actually make it easy for you to understand what the business environment is, right? So a business firm is an open system. It gets products from the environment and supplies its goods and services to the environment again. So you can actually think of this in that way. Let's think of this in this way. A farmer, for example, he buys seeds from the agriculture shops. He plants the seeds into the earth and harvests the crops and sells them to the market. The hope is just that you haven't missed the point anyways. Now, if we can elaborate this, we can see that he gets things from the environment, that is the agriculture shops and the earth, and sells the crops to the environment, that's the market again. So the only issues are the differences in the types of the environments that we have, all right? So what is a business environment? According to William, George, and the friends, he defined the environment as containing the external factors that create opportunities and threats to the business, right? The group, a class of the external factors that create opportunities and threats to the business is what is called an environment. That is according to him. So you can see that these factors would include the socioeconomic conditions, the technological and political conditions. That was according to George in 1980. Now, the word environment actually would refer to all the external forces which have a bearing and impact on the functioning of the business. So all those external factors, all the factors, let's just say factors that have got, that's from the broader perspective now. From the broader perspective, we cannot just say the external factors or external forces. Let's just say all forces that impact, all right, or that have a bearing on the functioning of a business. We call them the environment, because we also have what is called an internal environment and an external one. So if we just say external, then we will be biased. We would have not included the aspect of the internal environment. You can understand that the environment does not just affect the big companies or big organization. It also does affect the small companies, small organization, and that is usually the case. So now, what are some of the main features of the business environment? So let's look at the main features of the business environment. To start with, we have got a totality of external forces. So the business environment is the sum of all things external to business firms, and as such, it's aggregative in nature. This is from this narrow and specific objective. But if we are to try to broaden this a bit, you will understand that there are also some internal factors which I'll comment on very soon. So, but anyway, we can just leave it in the meantime that it is actually the totality of external forces, right? Specific and general forces. So the business environment includes both specific and the general forces, right? Specific forces are forces such as the investors, the customers, the competitors, and the suppliers. They affect individual enterprises directly and immediately in their day-to-day working. These, the specific forces. Then the general forces would include the social, political, legal, and the technological conditions, can even include demographic conditions. They have an impact on all the business enterprises, and thus they affect an individual firm only indirectly. So you have those that impact the business directly, and those that do not impact the business directly are called the general forces. You can see that the same environment trend can have different effects on different industries. And from that, we say that there is an aspect or a feature of multifaceted. We can say that the business environment is actually multifaceted. The environment has a far-reaching impact. This is very important. So the environment has that far-reaching impact, all right, on an organization. So the growth, talk of the profitability of the organization, it does critically depend on the environment in which the business does exist. You can see that the business environment is interrelated, right? So the different elements or parts of the business environment are closely interlinked or interrelated. So you can see that we can see that, for example, let's take for example, the increased life expectancy of people and the increased awareness of healthcare have increased the demand for for many health products and the services like diet coke, fat-free cooking oil, that's the cholesterol-free, right? And the healthy results. So you can see this interlink, right? There's some interlink and the relationship that exists between this. So there is that greater impact that the environment has on the business, and we can see that it is dynamic. So that is to say the business environment is never the same. It keeps on changing and changing. Talk of the political forces, the social forces, the economic forces, among others, they keep on changing from time to time. There is an aspect of uncertainty in the business environment, right? Uncertainty. So the business environment is largely uncertain. It is very difficult to predict future happenings, especially when environment changes are taking place too frequently, as in the case of information technology. You can see that the environment keeps on changing and changing. So that's what we mean by uncertainty, a part of the environment. You can't really predict that this environment will be like this for a continual period of time. The business environment is very complex, right? It consists of numerous interrelated and dynamic conditions or forces which arise from different sources. So it becomes difficult actually to comprehend at once what exactly constitutes a given environment, because there are just a lot of things around. At this point, let me call for questions, if at all there are any questions, before we can look at the importance of business environment. We have looked at the features of the business environment. After defining the environment, defining the business, and we've looked at the aspects of the business environment. Now we're looking at the importance. But before we can look at the importance of the business environment, do we have any questions on the importance of the business? Are there any questions? But are we together? Are people following, or the side is logged out? You know, oftentimes, sometimes I talk to self, find that you're logged out, but people are unable to hear you and you're talking because you're unaware of that. Are you able to hear me? Hilda, are you able to get what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you have any questions? You don't have any questions. If there are no people with the questions, we can look at the importance of business environment. Is the business environment important? Is it important? Right. In a globalized economy, the business environment plays a very pivotal role in almost all the business enterprises. Let's say the importance of the business environment actually and its understanding can be appreciated if you consider the following facts. And the following are the facts, okay, about the importance of the business environment. Understand the business environment because, number one, it enables the firm, by the way, the firm is a company. It enables the company to identify the opportunities and getting the first mover advantage, right? So when you understand the business environment, you can actually identify the opportunities. Now, the opportunities refers to the positive external trends or changes that will help a firm to improve the performance, right? So the environment provides numerous opportunities for business success. So if you can identify the opportunities early, it can help the enterprise to exploit those opportunities instead of losing from the competitors. It is important to understand the business environment because it helps us to understand internal environment that I was commenting on, right? It is very much important for the business enterprise to understand its internal environment, right? Such as the business policy, the organizational structure, among others, right? The operation plan, okay, all those issues around this, the staffing, okay? So in such a case, an effective management information can be drawn, and if the business environment is understood. The business environment can help us to understand the market conditions, right? You can understand the market conditions, very incumbent for an enterprise to have the knowledge of market structure and changes taking place in the market. So the knowledge about the increase and decrease in demand and supply, for example, the monopolistic prices, the government participation in the business, among others, they are very necessary to be understood by the enterprise, right? Now, those monopolistic enterprises, a monopoly refers to a firm that exists in a market where there is only one firm or there is only one producer, right? Supplying the goods or services to the large groups of people, but they only one producer. For example, Zesco is the only one providing us with power in Zambia. It's a monopoly, it's monopolizing us. But there are some key characteristics of the monopolies. The monopolies, usually they have the bargaining power over the price. They have power over the price. They set the price. And usually the consumers don't have power. They just take the price as it has been dictated by the monopolies. Usually it calls for the government to come in, right? To ensure that the monopolies do not actually overexploit the citizens of the country. So when you understand all these things, then you can draw all the roots back to what's this, the business environment. You can determine the threats if you understand the business environment. So the interaction between the business and its environment would actually help you to identify the threats to the business. The business enterprise for meeting, it can actually meet the challenges successfully if it understands the environment. You can know the threats. The threats are things that the negative effects, negative external forces that may adversely impact you as a business. We call them the threats, right? So you have to foresee them, and you can only see them if you properly understand the business environment. It can give you direction for growth if you understand the business environment, right? So the interaction with the environment leads to the opening up of the new frontiers of the growth of the business firm. So it enables us as a business to identify the areas in which we can grow and we can expand. Understanding the business environment can help us to continuously learn. Okay, it can help us to continuously learn. So the analysis of the environment makes the task, it makes the task of managers easier in dealing with the business challenges. So the managers are usually motivated to continuously update their knowledge, their levels of understanding, and their skill set so that they can predict the changes in the realm of the business. We can understand the image of the business if we understand the business environment. So the business environment is so critical and very important to help us as an organization to improve our image by showing the sensitivity to the environment with which we are working in, within which we are operating. We can actually meet the competition if we understand the environment. Those are importances of understanding the business environment. We can meet the competition. It can help the firms to analyze the competitors' strategies and formulate their own strategies accordingly, right? What is a strategy? A strategy is basically an action plan, okay, to achieve a set goal or a set objective. There is that documentation you write down, or that guiding philosophy that shows you the actions that you're going to take so that you can achieve that particular goal. Those actions are written down or enshrined in what is called a business strategy. You can understand your strengths and your weaknesses as a business if you understand the environment. You can also tap into the useful resources around you. That is, if you understand the environment. Is it important to study the business environment now? So we know that there are some of the few benefits that we have, okay, if we study the environment of the business. Number one. By the way, this course is a huge course, actually. This unit I'm teaching you, to those that are doing, that would want to continue in their studies by doing business administration, maybe as a degree or a diploma or something, you are going to do a course, actually. Business environment is a course on its own. So you can actually spend in some universities a year just doing business environment on its own. It's a broader thing. That's the point I'm showing you. It's something that is broad. It's a broader subject, right? But get the introduction thereof. It is important to study the environment because, you know, the development of the broad strategies and long-term policies, medium-term policies can be done only if we understand or we study the environment. We can have the development of action plans to deal with this technological advancement. We do that to foresee the impact of the socio-economic changes at the national and international levels on the firm's stability. It's important to study the environment to analyze the competitors' strategies and formulate the effective countermeasures. We can do the benchmarking and then we take the corrective measures. We can keep ourselves dynamic if only we study the environment. Now, the term business typically refers to the development and processing of economic values in the society. Therefore, the business is the product of the technological, political, legal, economical, social, cultural, global, and natural factors amidst which it functions. That is the business. So in general, we have understood and we have gotten to learn what a business is. So the business now interacts with the environment, and that's what we have said. So there is the micro environment of the business that consists of the workers, the suppliers, the shareholders, among others. These actually affect the business activities and they are affected by them too, right? And let's see the interaction. You see that the workers usually, they demand the highest wages. The suppliers also, they demand the higher prices. The shareholders also want a lot of dividends. And the firms would need to reconcile these diverse interests among these different groups. So you can see that the interests that we have, that the shareholders or the stakeholders have are not usually matching. Take, for example, the workers, they want higher salaries, but you as management, you want to pay them lower salaries so that you can maximize on profit. Okay. The shareholders, they want to get a lot of dividends, but you would want, as management, you'd want to pay them, low levels of dividends so that we can maximize on the profit and invest in other things. So there are those conflicts that we have in interest. The interests are not usually matching because what these demand is usually different from what these wants. For example, the workers would always want to work only short hours, get paid a lot of money by just working short hours. Those are workers. Usually, that's how employees are. They don't want to spend a lot of time working. They want a lot of holidays. Actually, they want longer holidays. But you as business owners or the management, you don't want them to stay that long without working and functioning. So these interests usually conflict. Now, there is a need to harmonize these, interests to ensure that the interests of these individuals, they match the interests of, or they coincide, they are at equilibrium with the interests of what? Of the business. So here is the interest that is being supplied, the interests of the individuals. I'll demonstrate these on the supply and demand curve, right? There is also the interest from the business, right? The interest from the firm. So these interests have to meet here at the equilibrium point. This equilibrium point is what is known as the goal congruence. Goal congruence. So goal congruence refers to the fact or the point at which all the interests that we have, the interest of the business has got its own interest and the interests of all these other stakeholders, they are aligned, okay, they are intersecting, they are now harmonized properly. Then that point we say that we have reached the goal congruence, and usually it is always our target as a business to reach the goal congruence so that we can keep our workers, keep everyone around well motivated and giving all they can to the business. So as we draw closer to the end of it all, you need to be able to analyze the threats and opportunities that the businesses has. And then there are some models or the tools that we can actually use to analyze. And there is what is the common, this one is very common. It is called the SWOT analysis, the SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis are the what? The acronyms that stand for the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that the business has. So when we study, because we need to study these as a business, we should be properly aware of ourselves, understand the threats, understand the opportunities, the weaknesses, and the strength that you have. That is called the SWOT analysis. In the other advanced conversation of business environment, you will also do another model, which is called the PESTEL analysis. The PESTEL analysis, that's political, economic, social, technological, ecological, and legal factors. The legal factors, ecological factors, technological, social, economic, and political. These they hinge around the external analysis of the business. So Grant.